Hello and welcome to Board Game Gumbo. Today we're unboxing Red Rising by Stonemaier Games. This is a game for 1 to 6 players that plays in 45 to 60 minutes. So I'm not familiar with the novels that this game is based off of by Pierce Brown, but I know it is essentially factional warfare and the different factions are different colors. This is kind of a set collection game, except you're also using the cards that you would otherwise collect to play for special powers. So there's this interesting dynamic where you have to decide if a card is worth holding on to until the end of the game, or if you want to use it for its power immediately. Also, this is a retail version of the game. There is a deluxe version. I'll be talking about the differences when we come across them. Here's our rulebook itself with our different component list. There's essentially only 2 actions that you take during the course of the game. There's the lead action and then there's the scout action. Lead action is you're playing a card from your hand and you're going to play it to one of the 4 rows on the game board, and then you're going to pick up a card from the game board. And then scout is basically if you don't want to play a card from your hand because you like what you have in your hand, you can just draw a card from the top of the main deck and put it somewhere. But the cards you play will typically give you a bonus just for playing them. For instance, this guy here has this bonus when he is played, although some cards don't have that bonus. This one here is a defensive card, so if you put him out on the board, he won't give you an ability. And then, like I said, you will gain a card, and that's based off of what location you gain the card from. You'll also gain a benefit. So you're essentially getting 2 things during your turn, as long as you're taking the lead action. You also play as one of the houses in the game, and they each have a special ability that will activate whenever you gain the sovereign token, which is this token up here. So the game will play for a certain number of rounds, and then there are several different ways that the game can end, essentially. When a single player meets 2 of these conditions, the game will end, or when 3 conditions in total are met. And that is having 7 helium, which are these little red gems, having 7 influence on the Institute, or if you reach 7 on the fleet track. And then you score for various different things. You score based off of where you're on the fleet track. Each helium is 3 points. The sovereign token, if you end with it, is 10 points. And then you're also going to gain points from the cards in your hand, which are going to have a value all their own. There's also solo rules, which of course Stonemaier is very well known for. They do pretty good solo rules. I'm not much of a solo gamer, so if you're interested, that's definitely an option, but it's not one that I'm particularly familiar with. So here are our player boards. So each player will get one of these at the start of the game. Let's see if they all have the same back, so you can just essentially shuffle them up and deal them. It's nice that they're cardboard instead of just playing cards. They could have easily done playing cards, but they made them a little thicker for cardboard. Here is the main board itself. There's not much to the main board. There's a track here to keep track of your fleet level. This is where your influence will go for the Institute. And then you have 4 rows that there will be cards at, as well as where you'll put the main deck, and then where you'll put the helium container, which has a little spot right here. But that's pretty much it. It does, however, have some pretty nice artwork on the back. Again, I'm not familiar with the novel series, but it certainly looks interesting. So here's where there's some differences with the deluxe version. In this version, the retail and deluxe version, you do get this container regardless of what version you get. And this just holds the helium, which is just this little resource you can get during the course of the game. I assume it has a purpose in the books, kind of like a spice from Dune or something like that. But this container will simply hold your helium, and it certainly will look nice on the table. You get that regardless. The player pieces are a little different in the deluxe version. In this version, they're just plastic. So we've got these plastic pieces, and these are based on the house that you're dealt at the beginning of the game. So if you are Jupiter, you'll play with the blue pieces. And every faction is going to get the same pieces, just in a different color. You've got cubes, which are your influence. And then you've got a tracker for your fleet level. It's nice that these are in plastic. It could have easily done wood. I think plastic is a little different, so that's nice. What else do we have in here? We've got our fleet token and our first player token, as well as, of course, all the other colors. I won't unbag all of those. Now, in the deluxe version, these two pieces are metal, as well as these player pieces. So the player pieces are metal in the deluxe version. And then the sovereignty token is a metal piece in the deluxe version. This one's plastic, but it looks great. I got no complaints. And then the first player token as well is metal in the deluxe version and just plastic in this one. The deluxe version also has an organizer that holds these a little more securely, and they also come with rails that you can put your cards in and basically stand up in front of you. We've got extra bags, we've got a dice. So whenever you gain a card from the board, you will get the bonus of whatever location you take the card from. So like if you take a card from the Jupiter row, your fleet track will go up. However, if you don't take a card, you can roll this dice instead. And this dice will basically do the same thing. It'll give you whatever bonus that color would give you. So taking a card from the Jupiter row will give you a fleet track, or rolling the dice and ending up on the blue side will also give you a fleet track. So it's just to ensure that you always get that bonus even when you're not picking up a card. We've got a score sheet, which is very nice. You don't realize how important score sheets are until a game doesn't include them. And then it's a little aggravating. Here are the solo mode cards, which I don't know a ton about, so. And here are the main cards of the game. And again, most of this game is these cards. So got quite a few of them. Let's go ahead and unwrap all of these. There's some more cards in the back here, which are clearly for the solo mode because it's got that symbol on them. Setup and just reminder cards, how setup works, end of game, and then your turn. So again, the two actions, leader, scout, and then the various bonuses you get for the different, taking cards from the different row. So advancing on the fleet track, if you take from the blue row, red row gives you a helium, and so on. So this will be the main deck of cards. All of these yellow back cards together will make up the main deck. And at the beginning of the game, you'll put a number of cards, I believe it's 2, into each of the 4 rows of the game board, just to start off the game. So there'll be 2 cards each in each of these rows, and I'll just fill up one real quick. And whenever you're placing cards, you're going to sort of cover them up like that. And then each player is going to be dealt 5 cards, and that'll be your starting hand. And then starting with the first player, they have the option to either take one of those 2 actions. So if you take the lead action, you're going to place one of these cards down into one of the 4 rows, and then you're going to get whatever bonus is here. So this bonus, or this symbol, I should say, simply means when placing a card, or when deploying a card. So this one will let you move this card after you've placed it down. This one, you reveal 2 cards from the top of the deck and place them under this card in any order. You may gain a gold from this location. If you do in your turn, gold just being a gold card. You may gain Nero or Jofo from this location. If you do, regain Alfram and end your turn. So I guess he's looking for his friends, which I would assume would also be in the Obsidian faction. And this guy, banish the top non-gold card from any other location. If it's not gray or obsidian, you also gain 1 helium. So you can play these cards for these actions on your turn, which is typically what you want to do. However, they're also worth points, and you can see their points in the top left of the card. And then they also occasionally have points in the bottom. So this guy's worth 16 points at the end of the game. But if all you have in your hand at the end of the game is golds, grays, and or obsidian cards, he's worth 24 points. So again, you're playing cards for their effect, but sometimes you also want to hold cards just for their point value at the end of the game. And that's it. That's everything you get in Red Rising from Stonemaier Games.